Hey guys, Oluwatoki here with another video, and in this video we'll be talking about the page structure of the recipe app. Please remember to always watch the videos you have here from the Open Search app so you can see the additional resources. So for example, I'm currently looking at the building data structure video, and here I get when you click on resources, by default you're on description. So if you click on resources, you'd get to see the additional resources I've added. Now I'll be adding more over time if I find more resources in relation to a particular tutorial, which will make it much more easier for you to learn and understand Bubble. So moving over here to the index page, the container layout is set as a column. So what that means is if I set it as a row, it stacks itself horizontally, and if I say column, stacks it vertically. Now, I won't say by default, but by rights, your index page should be set as a column because websites flow in this direction, which is the vertical direction, and it's a very rare case for you to see a website being displayed in this view. So let me preview this. So as you see here, this is the row. This is what it looks like if I set it as a row. It's going to go in this direction, which I know looks very ugly. But if I take it back to column and I click on preview, just give that a second. Voila, this is what you get to see. It looks much more better. So, few things you should take note of. So, you see here, you have the top aligned, which is your container alignment. Top aligned, you have centered, you have bottom aligned, you have space around, and you have space between. So, what do these things mean? So, I'm just going to quickly create a group here, and this group will act as our index page. So I'll set it as a column, and I'm going to add shapes in here. So I'll go Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and I'll add a column gap in between them, say 50, so you get to see them in action. Okay, I'm going to take this out. What I'll do instead, I'll say minimum height, I'll say 600, so we'll have more spacing. So now you see my container alignment is aligned. So if I click on bottom aligned, aligns it to the bottom. If I say center aligned, aligns it to the center. Now if I say space space around, this is what happens. It adds space around each element. But then if I click on the last option, which is space between, you'd see what happens. Breaks it apart. So this is how you understand the flow for container alignments. So I'll take that out, and for the index page, our container alignment is set as top aligned, which stacks everything one after the other. So same thing for our section title. So section here, it's a group. I just renamed it section. How do you add a group? You just click on the group, and either you drag to the page or you just click on it and click on the desired area you want to drop the group. So, section title, we have the next thing here, which is the section, another section, which is a group as well. Minimum width 0, minimum height just 280. And the reason why my minimum width is 0 is because I want it to shrink all the way down to the bottom. So what does that mean when I say my minimum width is 0? So let's say I set my minimum width for the section title, this group that holds these two text elements. If I set that minimum width as, let's say 1,000, see what happens. It doesn't go smaller than 1,000, which is not what we want. When you're building a responsive web application, you'd want everything or most items to be minimum width of 0. So I'll take out this minimum width and see what happens now. See, it starts to break apart. So something else we would want to consider when building on Bubble is we're going to have to add the margin or padding spacing. So if you see here in this section recipe list, we have a padding space of left 20, right 20. We're going to do the same thing here. Okay, so let's take a look at the difference between margin, and padding. Okay, so here, if I say set a margin 20, right? 20, what happens? It pushes out. So you notice there's a gray area right outside this. So if I preview what I just did, you see this gray area here. This gray area is the index, the color of the index page itself. What do I mean by that? So if I go to my index page, go to appearance, you see F4, F4, F4. But if I go here, what's the color? FFFFF, which is white. Now, I don't want to see the white. So instead, I'm going to use a padding space, which adds a space inside of the group and not outside of the group. So if I take that out and I click outside of it, you see everything is white. So if I go and preview, everything is white. So yeah, that pretty much explains our page structure. And thank you for watching this demo.